That wouldn't be talking. Mind that there is Mind that there is a difference between speaking and talking. People often use these terms interchangeably. So a good leader speaks, but at the same time, they talk. So it should be a two-way communication process. Now, if you have all the five qualities, they should all function together. If you are just intelligent, what happens is it results in rebelliousness, as you can see. If one is just intelligent, they start showing off, they start flaunting. Alone results in being someone invincible. So that intelligence alone cannot solve being a great leader. Now, if you are so humane by nature, you have humanness to the core, only humanness will result in being weak because people will take advantage of you. Now, if you have trust, fixation of trust, you have a total, very fine balance of trust. Only trust will lead you to folly. By folly, I mean that people will make fool of you. You will be easily fooled. Now, the five virtues, just like my five fingers, if I have only my thumb, I cannot write. If I have only my index finger, I will not be able to hold anything. Just like that, the five fingers, they need to be together for me to hold something, for me to hold my face, for me to show anything, to be non-verbally communicative, just like that. To be a good leader, you need to have all the five qualities. Being intelligent alone, being human alone, being trustworthy alone, or having strength. Only courage is not going to work out, because if you have a lot of courage, you're going to be someone very strong, and being strong is good, but is being violent good? Because most of the people those who are only courageous, what happens is they start becoming so inevitable. They start becoming so strong that they forget that they're being violent. At the same time, if you are only a good communicator, what happens is you end up becoming a good public speaker. So just because you are a good public speaker doesn't mean that you are a good leader. So just because you're intelligent does not mean that you are a good leader. You need to have all the five qualities together for you to be called a good leader. Now, the debate that we have often, most of the time, is leadership. Is it an inborn quality or is it made? Is it in the blue blood or is it made? I'll give you an example. Just imagine that you have a father who is alcoholic. Now, just because my father is alcoholic does not mean that I am going to be alcoholic. What if I am never exposed to an environment where there is no alcohol? What if I'm in an environment? So I believe that leadership is made. I mean, leadership is not something that comes naturally. Of course, inborn quality does matter. As in the PPT, as you can see, many people, they say, number one, that leadership cannot be taught. It is an inborn quality. So what happened in the historical period is people believe the theory of nepotism. Nepotism as in, if you are a leader, if you are a politician, your son has to be a politician. Your daughter has to be a politician, and that should be in the genes. But some debaters argue and say that leaders are a lot more made than they are born, because leadership is not a position, it's not an authority. Leadership is an observative skills. It's a process. It's like development. It's a process. There is no stop to it. It keeps on going. It's like education. It's an education. It keeps on going and going and going. So just like that, many debaters, they feel that leadership cannot just be genetic. It should be made. It's a process. So I want to ask you all, audience, so what do you think? Is leadership innate? Is it genetic? Or is it acquired? Or is leadership like both, a mixture of both? Like, please comment in the section. I would definitely read it. What do you think of it? If anyone is there to answer that, I'd be quite glad. I mean, just for your opinion, even if there's, probably internet connection, yes, Florence has written both. Even I believe that leadership should be a quality. Leadership is both innate and acquired, because some things in leadership, just like charisma, you cannot learn charisma. You cannot learn how to be, I mean, I'll give you a very vague example, all right? What I want you to say is, for example, if you're clicking a selfie on your Instagram and you are posing, like you're posing in a very beautiful way, you are teaching the same pose to your friend. Now, will that pose be same as yours? It won't be. Why? Because some things like aura, the aura, the charisma cannot be taught. It's just natural. It should be naturally coming towards you. It cannot be taught. Because some people are introverts, some people are extroverts. So coming to the main conclusion, what I'm trying to say here is leadership has a set of skills that can be innate, but to exercise that, you need a platform where you can show your skills. For example, do you know Barcelona's player Lionel Messi? Messi is known to be a legendary, inborn, talented football player. But what if he never got the football ground? Would he be a great football player? He would never be. So just because you have qualities does not mean that you're going to be that. You need to have a proper platform where you can practice it. So it's neither innate or acquired. It's a combination of both. It's a process. Now, what I want you to understand is, many people, to understand what is leadership, we need to understand what is not leadership, what isn't leadership. Just because someone is in a hierarchical position, just because someone is a great politician, just because someone is a boss, does not mean that he is a leader. Because there is a difference between coaching someone and driving someone. As you can see, I have listed the example of being a leader and being a boss. Bossitude as in bossy attitude. So a leader, what will a leader do? A leader will coach his employee. He will not drive his employee. It's good to lead, but he will lead alone. There is a difference in becoming a leader, a boss, and a team leader. So what you must be focusing upon is coaching someone, teaching someone what to do, what not to do, instead of just ordering him around. The second point is, a leader will always generate enthusiasm. As in, if something goes wrong or if something is done right, he will always encourage the person, saying that this is how it's done. No, he will always keep on encouraging the person. He will not inspire fear. He will not inject a lot of fear. He will not demand some things in a very inappropriate way. He won't do that. A leader will show how it is done, rather than saying that I know this, I know English, I know how to do this, I know how to play football, I know how to play cricket. Rather than that, he will say, I will show you how it is done. So a leader would lead the team together. He won't walk alone. And the main point, what I find here out of all these points are, a leader gives credit. It is very important to give credit, because most of the time what happens is, a leader, most of the times, they just take the credit. They take the credit and they don't want to give the credit. So that results in an unsuccessful team leading. So during leadership, of course, it's like expected that there are going to be instances and situations where there are going to be breakdowns. So what are you going to do with that breakdown? Are you going to fix it, or are you going to blame? Are you going to play the blame game? So if you are someone who is going to play the blame game, then that person is not a leader. That person is a boss. So you should always fix the breakdown. You should always fix the situation or the challenge or whatever has been thrown on you. Now, we have discussed what is leadership and what is not leadership. Many people, they think that if you can manage things, they are a leader. But what if managing and leadership are not the same? Managing does require leadership skills, but a leader is not a manager. A manager might be a leader, but a leader is not a manager. So we need to keep this thing in our head very clear. So here, a leader will always seek for improvement. As you can read in the PowerPoint right there, a leader will always seek for improvement. He will always seek for what's good, and he will improvise things. He will always look for something positive. Management person, a manager, will always seek for stability and predictability. Okay, so I've got a question here, Anil. What is the YouTube channel's name? Well, this is not the YouTube channel. Channel. I'm using a PowerPoint. Coming back to my point, a management is someone who will organize things, who will schedule things, who will plan, who will budget, who will look into a lot of things. But at the same time, a leader will look into creating a vision. They will look into growth. They have a much more long-term vision. Management, they are more towards an organization. They are like a flower. They are within. But a leader is out of that flower. You understand? Like, it's much more than organizing, managing. It's much more than that. Now, we think that leadership, when you all joined today here, thinking that okay, so someone's going to be there and she's going to be talking about, don't be afraid to be a leader. First of all, do you know what kind of a leader do you want to become? Because there are types of leaders and all the leadership are not the same. I'll tell you how. As you can see here, there are different types of leaders, okay? When we talk about, in the green section, we read democratic or participative style. Note, the leadership skills that you are talking about, you may not be able to implement it in all situations. For example, if you are in a situation where people would like to invest their skills, you cannot be a leader who can just order around things, like Hitler. You cannot order around things. Kim Jong-un, like the president of North Korea, you cannot order around things. So for that, you need a democratic or a participative style. A democratic or participative style. By that, I mean that by the word democracy, what do we understand? We work with the people. We take in ideas of the people. And we go by the people. So we always have a participative nature, a two-way leadership skills. We practice that. Now, when we go in the autocratic style, by it we mean that we lead people. Most of the control is by the leader. We do not give a choice to the employers. Now we think that what kind of a leader that might be, right? Some time back, Karma was talking about how one should not be bossy. But what if bossiness is required sometimes? What if you're in a situation where people are very rebellious? They won't listen to you. What if you are in an organization where people would not meet deadlines? They would not listen to you. Would your democratic, your charismatic style be of use? Absolutely not. You have to use autocratic style. Like Hitler, despite the fact that we know him as a bad leader, to be honest, he was a great orator. He was a great leader in his terms. He even got the Iron Award. So it depends upon the situation. Now, the third which we are talking about is a transactional style. By transaction, I think you might get hit of banking. Yes, that is what is right. So by transactional style, we mean that we have a give and take relationship. So it's what most of the political parties, they practice. So they say that if you are going to vote for me, I'm going to make roads. I'm going to make better infrastructures. I'm going to provide better education, better job opportunities. So it's a transactional style where you lead by giving something in return. And that is what happens here. Now, by laissez-faire style, what we mean is you provide a full open opportunity to the audience. You are a leader, but at the same time, you give a full free opportunity to the people. You don't act like you're a leader. So when does that come in like order? When does that come in implementation? Like if a leader is not leading, if the employees, if your followers are doing everything, when does that situation come in work? It comes in work when all your teammates, when all your followers are very skilled. They are very skilled and they're so good at what they're doing that you do not have to be someone bossing around, someone ordering around, someone commanding around. Understand? So the next point I'm going to talk about is the situational style. Now, what can be a situational style leadership mean? A situational style leadership is what we all are looking for, I think. Someone who can adapt in each and every situation, whether be it about political, whether be it about autocratic, whether be it about transactional, any kind of situation. They will help you right from when you don't know anything to the point where you are absolutely skilled to each and every situation, just like the name suggests. And the last one, the transformational leader, is by someone who wants to transform, who wants to bring growth, who wants to evolve. For example, like Nelson Mandela, like Mahatma Gandhi, you understand? For someone who wants to bring in a great change. So, what we need to understand here is a transformational leader are the ones who are very hard to reach. You cannot reach them. Like Barack Obama, despite the fact that he was a president, he practiced democratic style, but he was more of a transformational leader. For example, like when I talk about Nelson Mandela, the reason why I'm saying is he brought in a transformation, like his quote, education is the most powerful weapon which can change the world. We cannot just meet Nelson Mandela. His mind, his everything was so in point that despite the fact that everything was so situational, as in he was a combination of all. He wanted to bring transformation, but at the same time, he was so situational, as in he could adapt to each and every situation. So these are the types. But now that you have to make your head clear, as in, do you want to become a transformation leader? Do you want to become an autocratic leader? Do you want to become a transactional leader? Or do you want to become a situational leader? What kind of leader do you want to become? That's where the thinking goes. And after that, we come here that even if you have decided what kind of a leader you have become, you cannot ignore the 3 P's. And what are the 3 P's? Person, purpose, and people. Now, what does this triangle seem like? Wait. This is not confusing. Don't worry, guys. What we understand here is a person, the leader, a person by which I mean is the leader, must be committed to his purpose. He must have a purpose. Who wants to be a leader if he does not have a purpose, a vision, a mission? A person must be committed. He must be so entitled to what he wants to achieve, and he must influence his people. A leader, of course, he persuades. He injects willingness in someone else. So the person influences the people. Why does he influence the people? Why? To make the people achieve their purpose. So as you can see, that a person should be committed to his purpose, but the person also influences other people to get their purpose. So it's all about purpose. It's about your purpose, it's about my purpose, it's about everyone's purpose. So who helps achieve that? A leader. A leader helps achieve others' purpose. A leader will achieve his own purpose, because if you don't know your own purpose, how will you how will you make someone else achieve their purpose? That's the question. Now, I've got a beautiful quote here, which reads as, to be a leader, one must have followers. Isn't that obvious? I mean, if you want to be a leader, you can't just lead yourself. You can't have just yourself and leading around. That will be quite absurd, right? You must have followers. Now, these followers, they must have your trust. Otherwise, why will they follow you? isn't it? Would you make a new friend just like that on Instagram? No, you should always have trust so you can message. You can always contact them, right? Trust is the key to everything. So to be a leader, one must have followers. To have followers, one must have their trust. Now, how do you win trust? And how, like, why would others trust you? Like, why would they trust you? Okay, I've got a question here. If we as a leader make a mistake and the other member not trust we anymore, what should we do? Yes, I'm coming to that point. So most of the time what happens is, why do you think people don't trust you? Why? Like, you've made a mistake? Yes. Even if you've made a mistake, people won't trust you. Do you know the main reason why? There's a psychological reason behind it. So I'm going to show you. The main psychological reason behind this is the theory of self. It's about, do you know yourself well? We are changing every day. We're changing every day. So with that change, do you know yourself? Please look into this PowerPoint where we are reading about Maslow's hierarchical needs theory. So what we understand here is, it's excellent. You have psychological needs, you have safety, you have everything. Okay, as you please focus on the triangle, it's psychologically proven and it's very important, because if you understand this, then you can actually win anyone's trust. You can actually be a great leader, because to be a great leader, you should know who you are from within. And knowing who you are isn't about spending time 24 hours with yourself, not about watching your favorite series or knowing about your hobbies. It's much more than that. You have a home, great. You have your water, you have food, great. You have a boyfriend, you have a girlfriend, great. You have self-esteem, great. But the most important point is having self-actualization. What do you mean by self-actualization? By which we mean that you should know what is your highest potential. If I ask you now, what is your highest potential? Most people won't be able to answer. They'll just, if there is a question any day in your interview, what's your highest potential? Most people will Google. Most people will try to find it on the internet. Most people will ask others. A person will ask so many people, like you, for example, you'll ask your mother, you'll ask your father, you'll ask your brother, your friend, your boyfriend, your girlfriend. But there's one person whom you haven't asked. And who's that? That's you yourself. You haven't asked yourself, what's your highest potential? If you realize that, you're going to be someone who's going to know everything about you, because self-discovery is the greatest discovery. Self-discovery is like the medicine, is like the ingredient to each and every problem. The reason why you're angry, the reason why you're anxious, the reason why you don't know something, the reason why you're feared, the reason why you're afraid, it's to everything. So here, okay, so I got a question. Hello, miss. I would like to ask your opinion. What style of leadership do you use right now? Do you have to change your leadership style every different organization? Well, Marcel Jonathan, to be honest, what kind of a leadership style do you want to use depends upon what organization are you in. Now, if you want to practice leadership in your college, if you want to become like a student body president, then you should, of course, use a transformational and situational leadership. Because you cannot be someone just democratic, because people will take advantage of you. You cannot have a transactional style. People will think that you bribe people. If you cannot just have autocratic style, they won't listen to you because they have their own opinions. We are from the 21st century. You cannot use autocratic style right now, unless you're in North Korea, where people, like, they don't obey you. So what kind of style would you use? It depends upon your organization. And how do you decide what's your organization? You try to know the audience. You try to know what kind of an audience do you have. Now, if I want to become a leader in front of like 10 kids who are in class 5, I won't use, a great leadership with great vocabulary. I would just use a simple leadership, just like democratic, because I will have to participate with them. I just cannot command and order them around. They will not be able to understand anything. Like your brother, if you just order around, do this, do that, hey, bring me this, bring me that, he's going to think that you're a bad sister or you're a bad brother. You're going to have to practice a democratic style. You're going to have to practice a situational. And as of 21st century, I think that you should practice situational and transformational style, because transformation is so important. It's about bringing an evolution. You know, Steve Jobs once said, people who think that we can change the world are actually the ones who do it. So you must not lose hope. I hope you got the answer, Marcel Jonathan. Thank you for your question. So I'm going to get back to my point. Sure, it's my pleasure, Marcel. So I'm going to get back to my point. Now, when we look at this triangle here, why is it going that you can see that the lower part, the psychological need, is like has the greatest portion. But when it comes to self-actualization, it's on the top. Most people don't reach this part. You know why? Because people think that money, if you have home, if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, happiness is reached. That's the zenith. But no, that's not the point. Why did Lord Buddha leave his own home and go for retreat, go for meditation? He had everything. He was a prince. He had money. He had someone who loved him so much. Why did he leave? Because he hadn't discovered himself. Once you discover yourself, you'll have the answer to your own problems. You don't have to Google. You don't have to read someone else's answer. That's the main point. Now, the reason why I'm saying you should have self-actualization is because of this. What I'm trying to say is, if you have self-actualization, people will trust you. Now, why would people trust if you have self-actualization? That's the question. Because if you know what are your shortcomings, if you know what are you good at, what are your strengths, what are your potential, you will know when to speak what, to which people, how. The 5Ws 1H rule. And what is the 5W 1H rule? 5Ws as in what, where, why, who, and where. Like, why? And by H, I mean how. If you know these answers, if you can answer to these questions, then damn girl or damn boy, you are going to be there. I mean, you're going to just rock it. I've got a question. Okay, so Miss Karma, I want to ask, what if there are two leaders in a team? What if there are two leaders in a team? One is not official, but members follow both orders. Is that okay? I quite didn't get your question. Okay. Can you like rephrase it, because I quite did not get your question. Can you rephrase it in a better way or something? So I'm gonna wait for your question. The HTG. Are you gonna ask me, or I'm gonna move to the next point? So people are gonna tell you so many things, as in how to leave the fear of, how to mitigate the fear of leadership. They're gonna give you 7 secrets, 10 secrets, 8 secrets. But you know what? I'm gonna give you just 3 secrets to how to be a great leader. So the secret is, the problem is not the problem. The problem is the reaction, your attitude to the problem. There's not going to be a single day in your life where you don't address problems. So what are you going to do? You get solutions? Great. But how you react to the problem, what is your attitude to the problem, is what matters the most. Captain Sparrow said this. So what do you think? I mean, a person, most of the billionaires, most of the people in the world who are so successful, They don't always look for solutions. It's about how they address the problem. For example, if you are a celebrity and you get asked a very bad question, it's not about finding the right answer. It's about how you tackle that problem, how you react to that problem. Do you give an expression? Do you answer it? Do you not answer it? How do you tackle it? The problem is, that's why I'm saying the essential recipe to it is, number one, please read it carefully. The problem is not the problem is the reaction to the problem. And number second, what I'm going to tell you is inclusiveness is the key. Now, what do I mean by inclusiveness? What I mean by this is a leader should listen to everyone. They should listen to everyone, but you should not be no one. By listening to everyone, don't forget to hear your own voice, because that's what I see. Because that is what the shortcomings, I feel, is what the leaders today practice. For example, if you are in a team where you have 11 members, now you have proposed that you want to organize this event. Now 5 people are going to agree, the rest 4 are not going to agree. So what are you going to do in this situation? You're going to listen to the 5 people because they are majority, right? What about the 4 people then? So this is where you play your inclusiveness game. How do you play it? You listen to the 5 people for this time, but you also have a communication with the 4 people and accommodate in the next event so that they feel that they are included in your participative in your activity. So you play a little bit of diplomacy game. So inclusiveness is the key to be a great leader. Now that you know that you must have a good reaction to the problem, you must practice inclusiveness. What you must know is knowing your audience. As I said, you cannot just speak anything you want. You cannot just do anything you want in front of everyone. For example, if right now I'm teaching you how to be a great leader, but will my approach be the same if you are in class 6 or 7? My approach is going to be absolutely different because the audience is different. So know your audience. What group are they from? The demographics. Try to know like which ethnicity do they belong to, because you will be able to connect more that way. So the HTG have asked me a question, so he has rephrased it. Thank you so much. The one who is not really the leader, but members follow both orders, both those who are truly chosen to be those who lead and those who are not. So yeah, it's true. Most of the time, what happens is when you're in a team, you have more than one leader, and people tend to listen not to the leader but to others, right? So why do you think that happens? It's probably because of their trust. It's probably because of they must have charisma. They must have persuasion power. You understand? A persuasion power is like it's so dangerous. Even if I have billions of dollars, even if I am on the high chart of leaders, I might not be able to persuade my group of people. How? If I have someone who can connect with those people very well. So to be a leader, as I said, you should know your audience. That's the main key. Also, I have got one more question. Okay, Louise, I want to ask you how you respond if other people underestimate your leadership skill. How can you resolve that? Yes, I'm going to come to that point, Alfine. And I have a question. How if someone who didn't talk much, introvert, didn't involve too much in organization, want to start to be a leader? I mean, most people will doubt this person's ability, but can this person go to speak up? Yes, it's so true. Actually, there's a theory behind it that people think that only extroverts, people who talk a lot, can become great leaders. But that is not true. A person whom I admire so much, Oprah Winfrey, she was not an extrovert. I mean, she was rejected so many times in front of TV. An introvert, I'll tell you a good fact about introverts. An introvert they are very logical and they're very fact-based. So which can never be replaced by extroverts. Extroverts are very good at communication. They are good at approaching people. They are good at appraisals, and they are good at charisma. But a leader, as I said, a leadership is about observative skills. It's not an outcome. It's not a fruit that you get. It's a process. It's like a plant. It keeps on growing. It keeps on growing. You need to water them. You need to provide nutrition. It cannot work like that. You understand? So if someone judges you, you should be proud, because that is why I'm going to lead it to my next PPT. So I'm going to share you my experience, all right? So when I was in class 8, I was a person who feared public speaking like anything. I mean, I had a math quiz and I was asked 2 into 2 is, I said 6 instead of 4. I was so scared of public speaking. I always used to think, what will people think of me? I mean, I was so self-critical of myself. I never was satisfied with myself. I always thought that like, I cannot make mistakes. I have to be perfect. I always thought that what will people think if I did this wrong? I couldn't decide. You know, as you can read here, I was so self-critical. I used to criticize myself so much. You know, I never was satisfied with myself. I swear, I didn't believe in myself. After that, I used to procrastinate a lot. Procrastinate as in I used to overthink. I used to think that, oh no, why did I speak like this? I should have spoken like this. I should have done it like this. I had fear of judgments, as in, if I said this, if I wore this, if I took this responsibility, what will people think of me? Will they think that I'm too smart, or will they think that I'm not smart? I used to think so much. I had the fear of failure. I had the fear of public speaking. I was indecisive. Indecisive means someone who cannot decide. So where does all of these things originate from? Because of my one mistake, and that is I said I gave a wrong answer in the public stage on the public stage. I said 2 into 2 is 6, not 4. So can you imagine that because of my oh god.
Can you hear me now? I'm sorry, like my network was pretty bad. Can anyone respond to me if they can hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, okay, all right. I'm sorry, my internet was pretty bad, due to which it's raining here. So, what I was saying is, I had this fear, I had this very bad fear, due to which I suffered so much of terror, you know. So, what I'm trying to say here is, do not ever underestimate yourself because of one mistake that you have made. Most people do that. Because of my public speaking skills, that I did not have a very good public speaking skill, I ignored all my qualities. So the answer to it is, when you have criticisms, you should be proud of it. When you don't have criticisms, that is when you should be concerned. That means you're playing safe. That means you're not doing things correctly. When do people observe you? When do people look at you? When you have something, when you have done something, right? So that is when you should actually be proud of yourself. And how I overcame my fear of being a leader, how I actually took the responsibility, is by taking small steps. People often disregard little things. One mustn't forget that little things matter a lot in life. Dalai Lama once said, if little things do not matter, try spending a night with mosquito. You know, I think it's a great quote, because little things are so important, and please do not ignore it. Please do not disregard to it because of one mistake that you have made. And about introverts, introverts can be great leaders. Extroverts can be great leaders. A leadership, what did I say in the first slide of my PPT? A leader is not someone who just has good communication skills. A leader should have good communication skills, but at the same time, he or she should have other qualities as well. So that is where the main argument lies. Which leads to my next point. The voice telling you to be afraid, could be the one of the most effective leadership tools you have. So if you have fear within you, you should actually be proud, because that fear might act as a catalyst. That fear can be an energizer. It can be a motivator to you. If you don't fear something, that is when it is bad. When you have exams, when you have a project, why do you meet the deadlines? I mean, why? Because you fear. That's when you meet the deadline, right? Leadership is, how would it be fun if it wasn't challenging? Eating popcorn, sitting on a bench in the park and just having a time, would that be fun? Fear is good. Fear actually leads you doing things, but do not be afraid of it. Always remember, guys, that your shortcomings will be always highlighted more than your capabilities and skills. You do 99 good things, people won't remember that. You make one mistake, people will remember that, right? And I think it's quite true. And you should be concerned if you never hear criticisms. That's what I said. If you don't hear criticisms, that's when you should be concerned. That means you're playing safe. When you're playing safe, you're playing it easy. So that's not a good term. That's not a good choice. So a poet named Kabir Das in India said once that you should keep your criticizers close to yourself. You know why? Because soaps, shower gels, it might clean your body, but what will clean you internally is criticizers. They are the criticizers. So keep it closer than your friends. And do remember that failure is inevitable. You cannot stop failure. Failure will keep coming, and you should actually invite failure like your friend, because if you don't fail, you are not going to learn anything in your life. I have failed so many times in my life. I have been rejected for so many internships, but that has taught me what I lacked. For example, Thomas Alva Edison, the one who invented bulb, he tried about 999 times. He tried 1,000 times. He tried 999 times and he failed. But at the 1,000th time, he succeeded. Why do you think that? Because if he didn't try for 999 times, he wouldn't have got 999 ideas, what he lacked at, what actually went wrong. So to get that eureka moment, you must fail. Failure is the pillar to success, and that is quite rightly stated. And what I would like to say next is decide, no matter whatever it is. Sometimes it's not just about making the best or the good decision. It's just about deciding. It's just about going with the flow. It's just about making a decision at the moment. So always remember these things. I want to give you secret recipes where people will say that you should not fear, you should not have fear, you should not be afraid. You should be afraid, you should have fear. A little nervousness is always good. It's like a medicine, but do not practice it. People say that a leader should be invincible, like someone who looks calm and someone who does not have fear. I say accept fear. When you accept fear, you have created a thought in your subconscious mind that, okay, I have fear now and I know what to do. That is when you reach the self-actualization step. Talk to your members that, this is my project, this is what we are going to do. So I am scared and I believe in you. That is where you should be leading. You should be positive about it. And the last point, what I want to have is, leadership is a process, not an outcome. Leadership, leadership is not about just getting it. It's not about you learn it today and there's nothing. Leadership is a learning process. It's a development. Just like development never stops. Is development just about economic development? Like, financial, is it just about infrastructural development? Is it just about professional development? Development have dimensions, just like that. Leadership is not just about having a good communication skills. People often get confused. Just because you speak fluently, just because you speak brilliantly, does not mean that you are a leader. It means that you have good communication skills. But a leader, as I said, have a lot of skills, and those skills cannot be acquired in one day. It will have a process, and learning never stops, does it? There's always day by day, just like studies. You cannot stop studying. Life is too short, and people will think life is too long, but I think that life is too short and you have so much to do. Especially leadership. There are only three things that happens in an organization without leadership. And what is that? It's friction, it's mismanagement, it's misorganization. So leadership has become like a catalyst in each and every company, and you must practice leadership. Because if you have leadership, people nowadays, actually, they run behind you if you have leadership. And please, guys, it's my humble request to you, leadership, please do not confuse leadership with good communication. Please do not confuse leadership with becoming a good politician. Leadership is not just like dancing. It's like having a set of qualities, like a package, you know, it's so much more. That is what I need to tell. And guys, if you have any questions, please pose it to me. I'm going to answer your questions without any hesitation. I am loving the session, and I hope you have had a great session with me. And please pose your questions if you have any, guys. I'm like really interested for that.
Hi, I have a questions that take from during registration.
Okay. So I've got a question here. I have a question: how to become a good leader for handle the difference from the staff in the company. So Arum Puspita Devi, what I want to tell is if you want to handle different staffs in a company, you're talking about handling, right? So you, first of all, what kind of a company do you work in? Is it like a business, or is it like a political, or is it like a purely educational? Because it depends upon what kind of the audience you have. It purely depends on that. So first, know your audience. I mean, knowing your audience is so important, guys. I have missed this. I have been so wrong about it. But I think that if you know your audience, you can be brilliant about it. And how to lead is, number one, be confident. Accept fear, be confident. And if you are confident, people will think that you have that energy. Try to communicate ideas. Don't command ideas, try to communicate with them, because you said staffs, right? So staffs are supposed to work in a team, and for team coordination, you need to have reciprocity. By reciprocity, I mean you need to have a mutual communication. So I have got one more question. Maybe we know about leadership style, like a democratic or participative style. Which one the best of the leadership style right now? Because we know that at this time, one organization have other generation like YZ and baby boomer generation. What we can do for these things? Okay, that's a good question. So what kind of a leadership style I would suggest is situational style is the best, I think. You know why? Because you can adapt to each and every situation. If you are in a purely new organization, if you have just been given a new position, for example, if you have given a new position in your college or in your organization that you have to become a leader, you just can't go and order around people. What you will have to do is you will have to know them. You'll have to delegate. You have to be a delegate. By delegate, I mean that you don't say I, you don't say I want to do this. You say we want to do this. You don't capitalize yourself. You must have that essence. And situational style, why I find it best is because you can adapt, you can change like a chameleon, as in you can be someone so autocratic when you have got that position, but at the same time you can always encourage newcomers without being bossy, and you can always welcome new ideas if you have people of your own age. And about babies, you can always have democratic style and always have like transactional style. That is what it is. So how to gain people trust after we have made a mistake? To be honest, it gets hard to gain trust after you have made a
Yeah.
mistake, because I told you, people remember your failures more than they remember your success. It's the truth. It's the fact of life. So how do you gain trust? First of all, you accept that you have made a mistake. Okay,
Yeah.
you make mistake once, that's great, but if you make that mistake again and again, you are a fool. You are a fool, because if you make the mistake again and again, that means you have not known yourself. You haven't discovered yourself, which is absolutely bizarre. It's absurd. So accept your mistakes, address them, try to put it. Don't always blame others. I mean, a bad leader always they blame others, that I don't have a good team, I don't have a good boss, I don't have this, I don't have that. Blame it on yourself sometimes. Don't do it always. As I said, you should be inclusive. Blame it on yourself sometimes and say that I know it was my mistake, but this time I'm going to make sure that I do this. How about we do this? Try to include we, the essence of we. When you want to do something new, have the we essence. And when it's about something that you've made a mistake recently, try to have the I essence. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? People often, they run from mistakes. They often try to hide from what they have done wrong. And that is where people don't trust you. So trust is a very, very delicate and a sacred thing, and you just cannot get it. It's not like something that can be bought. It can only be made. It can only be created with time. Everything takes time. Leadership cannot be learned in one day. As I said, those who say that it can be learned in one day, they're lying to you. It cannot be learned in one day. It's a process. It's an everyday process. So I've got a question here. How if I'm a leader and I have a worker? Can you elaborate the question, Silva Fabrianti? Actually, I am not able to answer that. So, I think to become a leader, one advice that I would like to give, which was not in the PowerPoint, is to know a leader. To become a leader, you should know what is politics. Politics. Now, can someone tell me in the comment section, what do you mean by politics? Please don't give me a Googled answer. Just give me your own answers. What do you mean by politics? Please answer to me. Guys, I'm waiting for your answers. What do you mean by politics? Just like your definition, just like your idea of it. Anyone, just. Okay, Silva Fabrianti wrote that politics is doing our idea miss. Yes, pretty much true. Yeah, slightly true. You know what, everyone, guys, politics, politics is something that we practice every day. For example, your father says, let's go to eat burger, okay? Then you say that, no, I don't want to go. Your mother says, I want to go. Then your brother says, it doesn't matter to me. If you want to go, if you don't want to go, it doesn't matter to me. He's okay with anything. So politics is a situation where people have opinions. It's about having an opinion. Politics is about having an opinion, it's about having an opinion. It's about like having an opinion for, having an opinion against, or just not being doesn't care. For example, our citizen. Some are there who actually go for the riots. They actually practice. They actually raise their voice. And some are there who don't agree with the riots, who don't agree with their objectives and motives. And that's why we have opposition parties, right? And some are there who does not care, what's happening in the world. They just don't care, that they don't even vote. They don't care about anything. So the reason why I'm saying this is because politics is something that we practice every day. Today you say that I want to go to kitchen, you have made a decision. That is politics. Today you say that I don't want to meet you, I want to break up with you. That is politics. You've made a decision. Today you say that it doesn't matter to me, I don't feel like going anywhere, or I might go also. You are indecisive. That is also politics. So the reason why I want you to understand this is because if you understand the theory of politics, you will be able to understand what the hell is wrong with this world. I'm being very blunt with you, okay? Because to understand some theory, you need to understand. If you understand the theory of politics, you'll understand the theory of diplomacy. It's always about theory. It's always about theory. And someone has rightly pointed here, Erwin Abdullah, he said that politics is the ability to influence others. Very truly stated. So how do you influence others? You influence others by posing your opinions. So if you understand this, if you understand the ideology of politics, you will be able to understand situations, what's happening and what's not happening. Yes, a leader must have great political theory. A political leader might be someone, okay, who has good communication skills, but a good communicator is not a good politician, but a good politician must be a good communicator, just like a leader. A leader must have good communication skills, but just because you have good communication skills does not mean that you are a good leader. That's what I'm trying to say. So I've got a question here by Siarina. How we find our higher potential if when we talk to ourselves, we don't know the answer of it, and why is it so difficult for me to know what is my dream? Very true. I so love your questions here, Siarina Rama. It's so true, you know. Now that I've told you what is your highest potential, imagine that you meet a genie, you know, the Aladdin's genie today, and he asks you, what is your highest potential? You might not be able to answer it. You know why? Because you don't know it. And today, your highest potential today might change 10 years after. Because if you are 10 years old, and if I ask you what's your highest potential, you might say, my highest potential is to play with my friend, like innocently. That might be the highest potential. It will change time after time. Now, what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to draw out of all this is, knowing your higher potential. How do you know that? Is you should know yourself by, have you ever spent time with yourself, as in not being with anyone? I mean, I'm not talking about being alone in your room, as in your company. Have you ever tried your own company? Like, what do you like about yourself? I'm not talking about dancing or singing. These are skills. What do you like about yourself? Like, for example, what I would like to tell you, my highest potential is the ability to be empathetic. I can absolutely empathize with people. I can absolutely be so empathetic. And how I have realized is, I've tried to connect the dots. You will not know the answer to what is your highest potential in just one day. Because you've spent 20, how old are you? If you're 16, you've spent 16 years of your life with yourself. I'm 22 years old. I've spent 22 years of life with myself. I cannot know the answer to what's my highest potential in just one day. I've spent so many years with myself. So it's going to take time, and it's okay to take time. So first day, what you do is you try to sort out, what do you actually like and what do you actually dislike? If you know the answer to this, then you actually move to your emotions. If you move to your emotions, you will know to a greater and a deeper aspect. Because why I'm saying this is because you know you're happy, but do you know what is the origin to your happiness? The origination. You know you're sad. Do you know what is the origination to your sadness? So that is how you understand your highest potential. You try to know the source. You try to know the origin. And if that origination is something materialistic, then that is how you know that you don't know your potential yet. Your potential should derive from an abstract origination. An abstract origination, something that cannot be broken, that's something that cannot be seen. So do you have any more questions? I'd be thrilled, I'd be glad to answer. How to be a good leader at all situations? Well, Dalila Ananda Mega Putri, to be a great leader in all situations, you should have knowledge, because talking about all situations, you should have knowledge. Knowledge, I'm not talking about being excellent or coming first in your class. I'm talking about having knowledge about, for example, if you're good at dancing, you should have knowledge about your dancing. If you have the knowledge about computers, you should have knowledge about computers. It depends upon what skills you want to have. Because when you're talking about all situations, by situation, I mean that you will meet different kind of people, okay? So to meet and address different kind of people, you must have that knowledge. So when you have that knowledge, you are resourceful, you lead to becoming a good, a person who can communicate ideas. To communicate ideas, you should know the audience. So it's all a circle. It's all circle. It's all about your knowledge. It's all about your communication skills. It's about how you persuade. It's about, it's everything is a circle. It's a vicious circle. Do you understand? You cannot be a good leader just by one thing. There's no one answer to that. There are several skills to it. And Muhammad Arik asked that a strong leader is someone who rules without compromise. Is it true? I quite don't agree with you, because you should compromise. You should compromise. You know why? Because compromise is something where you agree, like you make an agreement, where you make an agreement that, okay, I will do this, but you don't okay, wait. First of all, do you know the difference between compromise and sacrifice? Because people get confused about that. Mohammed Irag, are you there? If you can answer it to me. Okay, anyway. So a leader is someone who will compromise. A leader has to compromise because he has to come to a settlement. He has to come to an agreement. He just cannot do some things without an agreement and a settlement. It's true, you shouldn't sacrifice, but at some point you sacrifice as well. You should know the difference between compromise and sacrifice. A compromise is where you come to an agreement, where you come to a settlement, and sacrifice is where you give up something. So compromise necessarily does not mean that you need to give up. So what I'm trying to say, my dear Muhammad Iraq, is a strong leader is someone who can compromise, who can sacrifice, yet not lose his self-esteem and respect. A strong leader is someone. So Silva Fabriandi asks, how do improve our confidence, our passion, our ability so that people always like us when become a leader? Yeah, it's so true. People must like you if you want to become a leader. So how do you make people like you? First of all, you listen more than you say. Speak. You should listen more, because when you listen, you try to learn what you don't know. When you speak, you only say what you know. So first of all, is listening more than you speak. Second is to improve confidence. As I said, you should always try small things. Do you try to make a discussion? Do you try to discuss some things at your home? It should start at home. Charity begins at home. You just start with small things, Try having small discussions at home about some things. Then you can start it with your class, answering something, questioning something. That is how you improve your confidence. And about your passion, as I said, your passion will just be in your bag if you don't practice it. And to practice it, you should look for opportunities. The opportunities won't come looking for you. You should always knock at opportunities. You should always look for opportunities. So that is how you work. So to improve your confidence, please try to do what you really like. And to, as I said, to know what you really like, you should know the origination. As in, if you're a person who just likes shopping, likes clicking photos, that's great. But don't you think that if you don't have shopping malls, or if you don't have Instagrams, if you don't have social media, then you wouldn't be happy? So that means happiness is materialistic. So your confidence should come from something abstract, something that cannot be killed, something that cannot die. It should come like that. And for people to like you should always know whom you are talking to. You should always and always listen more than you speak. You should have eye contact. You should dress well. That is what is very important nowadays. Appearance is golden. So do you have any more questions? I mean, you guys are so enthusiastic and I'm getting so many lovely questions. I'm so proud that I got this opportunity to conduct this session. I'm proud of Indonesia. Please, if you have questions, please post in. I mean, I'm here, right here, to answer it. Okay, there is a quote, leader is a reader. In order to be a great leader, should we read many books? If yes, what kind of books? Books about leadership? Yes, you know, a leader is a reader. That is quite true. But do you think that a leader should always read books? I mean, you can read books. It will always, you know, improvise. It will always improve your knowledge. You know, it will always improve. Like I am an avid reader too. I read most of the times non-fictional books. It's not like I do not like fictional books. I do like fictional books, but I like non-fictional books because I like understanding the theory, the base behind it. Because just knowing what is happening is not important. Why is it happening is also very important. So yes, like, you know, I think that if you want to be a great leader, reading should be an important aspect, but it is not the only important aspect. It can be one of the important aspects, So if you want to read what kind of books, to be honest, there is no criteria to reading what kind of books. You can read any kind of books. You can read a book which is meant for kids, totally kindergarten kids. You can read that because there are some things which we have missed, you know, out of our childhood. So don't underestimate anything. Read any kind of book that you like. Read any kind of book that you like, because knowledge should be dimensional. It should just flow. It should just come from so many places. If you have questions, please pose it to me, guys. And any question, please don't fear. Okay, so I've got a question. Is it true that a leader should have bigger network? If it's true, why so, and how to make our networks bigger? Thank you. You can call me Maria instead of my username. Okay, Savage. Okay. Okay, so Maria, nice name, beautiful name. I like your name. So how to be, it's true that you should have great networking, especially in today's global world. Networking is the key, because if you have network, what happens is you try to reach more and more people. You have followers, you know. So followers is one of the most important aspects to becoming a great leader, you know. So to improve network, first and foremost, you should, I would repeat it once again, you should have network, you should have knowledge, you know. You should have knowledge about what field are you in, as in, there might be you know, an instance where you have thought that what kind of a leader do you want to become? Do you want to like run in the field of politics? Do you want to run in the field of any like economical development, or any kind of development that you want to lead, right? So to have networking, you should be very, very communicative. You know, you should have persuasion skills, excellent persuasion skills, as in you should be so diplomatic. One should not know when you have got angry. One should not know when have you got angry. One should not know you are sad. One should just be so curious about you. You should be so likable. People should just like you the way you are. And for that, people will not like you as the way you are. So for that, you need to be you need to have a bit of diplomacy. You should practice diplomacy. Like, liking will not come without diplomacy. There is a great PR stunt. It's all public relations stunt to there. Did I get you clear? A good leader is a leader. A good leader is a leader that many people don't like. Are you agree with this statement? Because I've heard the statement like this. It's so true, you know. A good leader is some.
Can you correct? Okay, I can't hear actually. So a good leader is someone who many people don't like. It's absolutely so true. You know, many people don't like leaders. You know, there are so many leaders in the world. Like for example, Donald Trump is a leader too, but many people don't like him. So why do people don't like you? Why do you think it's like that? It's because of the shortcomings. You know, as I told you, people they are always looking at you. They are always eyeing on you. When will you be making that one mistake in your life? People view your failures more than your successes. So it's so true, Erwin Abdullah. People won't like you if you're a leader. And I've read one of the articles from the NYU, like New York University, that there was a girl, an intern, where she feared becoming a leader because she feared that people will hate her. So you should overcome that fear. You know, people will hate you. People, there are going to be judgments. There are judgments are like, it's going to be in the territory. They are not going to like you because we are not the same. Just these five fingers, as you see, they are not the same. They all are different. They all are different. So people have different opinions. As I said, it's all about politics. People won't agree with you. The reason why I say you should have the theory of politics. People won't agree with you. Some people won't even care. Some people will always be against you. So would you be someone who will keep listening or who will keep doing things? So I would say that if you want to mitigate the fear of what people will think about you, you should be inclusive. Inclusive as in keeping everyone's opinion, but at the same time not forgetting your voice. That is how it is done. Okay, so I have one more question. When a leader makes an achievement, but the achievement is not in line with expectations, even though the work done is maximum, why that often happens? Most of the times, your expectations and reality are in two different sides. They will never balance out. But most of the time, it does not balance out. Expectation, I think you've seen many memes as well. Expectation versus reality. So it's true, Yunita, your achievement might not be in line with your expectations, but isn't that good? I mean, if you always get what you expect, then it becomes mundane. Most of the successful people in life are the ones who achieved a lot of things without having expected, without having getting their expectations. Now, if I think that by 2025, Indonesia is going to become a developed country, but if they if they do not achieve a developed country, but if they achieve like a greater economical development, not all development, a greater economical development, people will still criticize. People will still criticize. They will just think that how it has not reached the expectation level, but it has only reached a level. So the criticism is like what do I say? It's it's like a cloud. It's always there. You might not see it, but it's always there in the sky. It's always there, and you should, as I said, you should be proud of it because when you don't get criticism, when you're not criticized, that's when you should be worried. Probably you're playing safe and probably you're doing it easy. And also to answer your question, even though your work done is maximum, it's so maximum and it's so great. The reason why people don't make it to the expectation level is because the expectation, who created the expectation level? Who creates? A person, right? It's me, you, a group of organization. So the reason why we don't meet is because the people who are doing it, the people who are meeting that expectation, they are doing it in a different way. So it will always coincide, it will always like it won't be in line. There are different people performing different activities. It's all about power sharing. So I have one more question. How does a leader or a how does a leader bring together two different opinions in a discussion and become a leader after we are talking? Thank you. I didn't get your question. Are you trying to say that matlab, you're trying to bring in both for and against statements, for and against thoughts? Are you trying to say that? Galu, Anisa, Kendra, can you please say that to me? Are you saying that you want to have both for and against statements? Could you please tell me that? Because I'm confused. And Farah Zahra asked that, have you experienced as a leader when you have a plan and it just doesn't work out as it should be? Yes, Farah, it has always been like that I have planned, but it hasn't been like that. For example, I'll tell you, currently in the Rotaract Club, I am the president, okay? So I have been elected as a president. So what I always plan is that I will always ask my team members to work in this way, but there are always shortcomings. There are always shortcomings that either some are busy or some are out of town. Or maybe I think I blame myself somewhere, thinking that my leadership skills are not good. So during that time, how I actually motivate myself, how I actually deal with that is, I think that where is the main origination? What is the origin? Everything has origin in this world. Suffering, happiness, everything has an origination. So try to find that. Try to find that everything has an origination. So if you find why is the plan not working out, there is always an origination. You try to deal with it. And I said before, the problem is not the problem. The problem is the reaction to the problem. You don't. First of all, you don't react to the problem. As a leader, you have fear. You accept your fear, but you cannot react assertively in front of your members because you are an example. And examples don't fail in front of someone who inspires to become you. You understand? You motivate them. And so Silva Fabianti asks, if you order to choose one between a leader in one organization and be a leader in one of the company, which one will you choose? To be honest, I would choose any one of them. I think it would be the same if you want to work in an organization or if you want to work in a company, because the power sharing, the work, uh, the whole idea of it will be same. You will have followers, you'll have to lead them, but you don't command them. Of course, the area will be different. The area in which I will be working will be different, but the whole, I showed you a chart. Do you remember in PPT? The purpose, we have people and we have the person. The idea of it is same. You will achieve your purpose, then you will help others achieve their purpose. That is how it's done. So I think it's the same idea everywhere. So it does not actually matter if you want to work in a company or if you want to work in an organization. It's only the knowledge where it differs, otherwise it's going to be the same thing. Galu, Anisa, Kendra, I'm actually waiting for your question. If you could actually tell me. It's absolutely my pleasure, Silva. So, speaking about today, it was a lovely session. I mean, it was such a nice session. I did not expect such participation. Okay, I'm really proud that you all are so enthusiastic in knowing so much. You have that. I could see that you are growing leaders, and curiosity is one of the most important aspects to learning something new. If you are curious, that means you want to know something new, you want to achieve something new. So congratulations for that. So I'm really proud of you, Indonesia. Really great job. Okay, Nida, may I know how to overcome uncertainty in a decision making after analyzing options like the advantages and countries which one should be facing? Absolutely true. So what happens is most of the times when you despite the fact that you have a team, the whole decision lies with you, but you have to choose. And there are a lot of uncertainties, uncertainties in in terms of many things, be it situational, be it about some event, be it about some communication, anything. There are so many uncertainties. So always look at the risk and the rewards, as in decisions, you sometimes, as I told you, sometimes it's all about deciding something. It's not about good decision making. But there are points where you need to decide well, So for that decision, to decide something well, you should always look at the risks and the rewards. And a decision cannot come without risks. You might get rewarded, but there are more risks. So always accept risks, because without risk, you wouldn't know what you are going for. Risks are like the golden rule, like the golden opportunities to your activities or anything that you look for. So how, now coming to your main answer, to overcome the decision making, first of all, be spontaneous. Try to have a spontaneous mind. Don't overthink. Don't procrastinate. Always be critical about things, but don't be so critical that you forget your own voice. Try to talk to people, but don't try to forget your own decisions in amidst, like, talking to your whole leaders, talking to your whole team members. Don't forget to do that. Try to motivate yourself. Probably your motivation would be watching your favorite movie, or listening to your favorite music, or probably reading some of your favorite quotes. So do that. Do what you like, and after that, come to a decision. So sometimes decisions, to be a good leader, you have to decide quickly, because you might not be given the time that you think you will be given. It's about spontaneity. That is how it is. You're welcome, Nida. It's absolutely my pleasure. So,
Okay, I think there is the last question from Nida.
yeah, I have answered that question.
Yeah. So thank you for your thoughtful knowledge and your amazing response to answer the questions in comment section. Thank you for your
Sure.
valuable time. Do you mind to tell your social media or
Sorry,
Rotaract social media?
yeah, yeah, I am on Instagram. You can, people who want to get advices or any kind of help, please, please approach me. I am absolutely very approachable. So you can find me. Should I type it here? That my social media would be, just a second. Yeah, my social media would be barbie.karma. So it's in
Uh,
the Instagram. So, so how do
okay.
you say bye bye in Indonesia? Is it like, I had written it? Actually, the pronunciation is so different. Selamat tinggal sampai jumpa. Did I say it right?
Yeah,
Oh my
that's
God, it's so
good.
lovely. Sampai jumpa, everyone.
Sampai jumpa. Thank you for your valuable time.
Sure, not a problem. Bye bye, everyone. Have a nice
Yeah,
day.
bye. Have a nice day. Stay healthy. So thank you for your valuable time to all participants. Thank you for your participate and your activity. So this is my last session on webinar Interest Project. So if you guys have any question, just hit the Thirst Project IG and you can directly fill the feedback link. Okay, thank you for your valuable time. All participants, stay healthy and stay safe. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you everybody. Thank you, Miss.
You're welcome.